So I continue with my topic of dying words, experiences from a hospice chaplain. So what I want to talk about tonight is family issues. I hear about this all the time and the pain that this causes people. I'm going to give you some examples of what I'm talking about the pain of family dynamics with the dying. Example number one. I went to see a woman who was actively dying, and when I went in her house, she had a hospital bed in the living room set up. And she saw me coming, and she knew me. And she greeted me, and I greeted her. And she said to me, "Pastor Tom, you know I'm dying, right?" And I said, "Yes, I do know that." And she said, "You know, I can't die." And I said, well, what do you mean you can't die? What do you mean you can't die? And she said, "I cannot die until those two daughters of mine quit fighting and learn how to get along." And I could hear in the kitchen two women arguing back and forth. Now, granted, my hearing is a little bad because of all the live music I played in my lifetime, but I could hear it. I could hear some, bantering back and forth. And the woman who was dying said, "I cannot die. I can't die until those two daughters of mine can get along." And so here this woman was dying, but yes, she felt so upset about the family dynamics of her two daughters. So I think in this particular case, it would probably have been better for them to take it outside or, alleviate these problems and not have this kind of issues in front of a dying parent. Number two, I have done a funeral about maybe 4 years ago or so, that when I walked into the funeral home, I saw the casket in the hallway. And I have never, ever experienced that before. And I walked into the funeral home, which I've been there several times, and I've seen the casket is in the hall. And I found the funeral director, and I said, "Well, what's going on here?" And he said, "Well, I have one part of the family in the room to the right. I have the other part of the family in the room to the left." This family was so divisive and so argumentative with each other. They couldn't even be in the same room. The same room. Now imagine that at a funeral for someone in the family who had died. I couldn't even believe it. But there it was. Couldn't get along. And so they had to divide them at a person's funeral. Issue number three. I did a funeral one time when I walked into when I pulled up into the parking lot, there were no cars there. And I thought to myself, "Oh man, I must have got the wrong place. I surely got the wrong place. There was no cars." And so I went into the funeral home where I thought I was supposed to be. The funeral director saw me and said, "Oh, Pastor Tom, thanks for coming." And I said, did I miss the time or something? There's nobody here. And he said to me, oh no, there's nobody here. Just me and just the deceased. And he said to me, "Listen, there's nobody here. So you know what? I'll still pay you your fee. And you don't have to do the funeral. There's nobody here." And I said to him, "No, all the more reason why I have to do the funeral. Because no one's here." Well, I did a funeral for an individual. Nobody came. Nobody. Example number 4. I recently did a funeral, and I have the family sitting in front of me. That's traditional, right? And I have the deceased in the casket behind me. And I'm noticing in the back of the funeral home, in the back of the room where we were gathered, there were two younger kids. And they were in the back, sitting on the couch, and they were playing their video games. And I really, truly did wonder to myself, what's going on there? What's that all about? So I did the funeral. I greeted everybody, and then I went to the back of the funeral room where these two young kids were seated. And I introduced myself to them and found out their names. And I said, wow, now who are you? Who are you to the deceased? Oh, he's our grandfather. Oh, okay. Well, I'm thinking to myself, wow, are they so grieved or depressed or whatever that they're sitting in the back? And voluntarily, one of the kids said to me, oh, we never knew our grandfather. We don't ever knew him. We didn't know him. I said, wow, what do you mean you didn't know him? And they said to me, their mother, which is the daughter of the deceased, had a falling out with her father years ago, like 12 years ago. And it said to him, you will never see your grandchildren, never. So there you go. We have these two grandkids who never, ever met their grandfather because of the falling out between a mother and the daughter and the father. How sad. How sad. And you know who has to suffer with that now? The grandkids. Never had an opportunity ever to meet their grandfather. This is the stuff that goes on at end of life for families. Whenever we should be coming together, we fall apart. And why don't we offer forgiveness and give forgiveness? Why don't we do that? Well, the answer is simple. Pride. We're prideful. Now, let me give you another example of something that I have to deal with in my line of work, working with families of folks who are passing away. This is very common and very sad. So let's just suppose for just a second that you have a mom and she's dying, she's terminal, but she needs care. She needs care. She can't take care of herself, and she doesn't want to go to a nursing home, and so she's depending upon her adult children to render care. Well, let's just suppose for just a second that you got 3 adult children. One of them is doing the care. The other 2 are not. And so I get a phone call to talk to the one who's doing all of the care. And he or she will say to me, I can't believe this, why I'm doing all of this, and my brother and sister aren't doing any of this, and this is not fair. Pastor Tom, you need to talk to them and tell them I need help. Well, I can talk all I want. But if they're not willing to do it, they're not going to do it. And so the one who is upset is the one that's doing the care. And this person is more upset not about doing the care, but because her siblings are not. And so I said to her, for example, well, why are you doing it? Well, somebody has to do it. All that my mother has done for me is the least I owe her. And I tried to explain to her in this example, well, they're not called to do it. You are. You're the one that has the servant's heart. Because you don't have to do it either. Pay somebody to do it. Get somebody to help you. You're doing it because you have the caregiver heart. Not everybody has that heart. Only you have that heart. And so when I explained that to her, she thought about it for a minute, and she said, I never thought about it that way. Well, it's true. I mean, you're doing it because you have the heart to do it. They're not doing it because they don't have the heart to do it. And I said to her, the problem with all of this is your mother. You don't think your mother knows that you don't want to do it too? You don't think that your mom can't sense that? Guys, I have heard people who are dying say to me, I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to be a burden. Well, why are they thinking they're a burden? Well, they must have some kind of inclination that makes them think that they're a burden. And so many, many, many times we have this family dynamic that a dying parent needs help. And the siblings either A, aren't equipped to do it, B, they don't want to do it, C, they can't do it, and only one wants to. And this conversation between the siblings about a case like this goes on, and the dying person knows it. I don't know how that would make me feel. If I knew that my children didn't want to take care of me and they were fighting over it. And I'm letting you know that is a big deal that I have to deal with pretty consistently. Why is somebody always doing it? Why are the others not? Why am I the one that's visiting and nobody else is? Why am I going to the store? Why are you not? So my caution to all of us listening to this tape, hey, keep that to yourselves in a quiet room somewhere, okay? And if you're the one who's doing it, don't do it if your heart's not in it. You're not doing it because your siblings aren't doing it isn't putting you in a better place. You either do it or you don't do it. But if you choose to do it with a kind heart. I have had other group dynamics. I have had people, family members, usually adult children, bickering and arguing back and forth in the patient's room as she or they lie dying. I've had it done. And they're bickering back and forth about, well, what do we do about life support? What do we do about turning off a ventilator? What do we do about tube feeding? That goes on all the time. So my caution to all of you in a situation like that is have those conversations outside of the hearing of the loved one going through the dying experience. That should not be going on in the room with the person who's passing away. Another thing that goes on a lot is you have the group dynamics of family who grew up together and they just can't get along. This is not the time to air all that stuff in the presence of a loved one who's passing. One thing I will tell you that a lot of people will do is this. You want to say to the person who is dying, Mom, Dad, we want to let you know that we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. You've raised us right. We've learned a lot of things. We're going to be okay. We want you to know that we love you, we'll always love you. And there's a part of you that will live in us every single day. And so, when the Lord comes for you, it's okay to go. We're going to be okay. We promise we're going to be okay. And I have seen family members say that to their dying parents, for example. I've seen it. And the relief that comes upon the person's expressions when they hear that, awesome. That's some of the best medication anybody can have. And so what I'm letting you know is the dynamics of the family matter greatly to the person who is passing away. I want you to remember that. To have your conversations outside. Get it worked out. The best thing that you can do for a loved one who's passing away is come together in unity as a family. Be forgiving. Let go of your pride. do that. If you can't do it for you, do it for the dying person. Please consider what I'm saying to you. And I certainly hope that you do this way before you need to do it. Get it together for your loved one. Best thing that you can do.